Hi, everyone. We're here in Studio 360 at F5 App World 2024 in San Jose, California. This is F5's premier application security and delivery conference. Now, I am joined by Rob and by Pranav. Rob is from Kyndryl. Pranav is one of my coworkers at F5. We'll do quick introductions, starting with Rob.
Rob DeWeese, Director of Cloud Networking here at Kyndryl, the largest GSI in the world.
Awesome. Cool. Pranav?
I'm Pranav Dharwadkar. I'm the VP of Products at F5 Distributed Cloud.
Fantastic. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about Secure MCN. And we're going to go with a little bit of a definition around that first. Already we started off with an acronym, so maybe Pranav, I'll start with you to give us a bit of a definition there.
Sure. So Secure Multi-Cloud Networking, which is MCN. I'll just start with sort of the context of why customers do this. So traditionally, enterprises had applications in one data center or one location. They want to use their application in multiple public clouds in order to leverage the best of breed, or because of mergers and acquisitions where they're forced to do multi-cloud. So secure multi-cloud networking essentially is how do enterprises connect their applications across multiple clouds and do it in a seamless fashion. So not only connect their applications, but also secure their applications and essentially operate this distributed or multi-cloud environment is the definition of secure multi-cloud networking.
Nice. Rob, you want to add on to that at all?
Well, I'd like to maybe start what is multi-cloud networking. To me, I define multi-cloud networking in general under 4 towers. Tower 1 I call hyperscaler LAN or land. That's anything and everything within a specific hyperscaler and all the features in there and services. Tower 2 I call hyperscaler WAN, how we connect into the hyperscaler environment. That's MPLS, private connectivity, or internet. Tower 3 is control, operations, management, control platforms, management platforms, anything that controls and manages the flows. And Tower 4 is the complex flows. And that's where the expenses and the real security and everything that makes up multi-cloud networking happens. That's the ADP getting authenticated from Active Directory Online, flow into an Oracle financial database, and then uploading maybe to a colo, which I also consider cloud, along with SaaS apps. And that's the reality of multi-cloud networking. And that's how I define cloud networking. And those are the different points I feel like you have to address when securing multi-cloud networking.
Awesome. I love how you have a structure to that as well. And obviously from Kyndryl, to be able to scale your guys' services, you guys have ways that you approach engagement. So maybe you can talk through how you've approached use cases and customers and solutions using your 4 pillars.
Sure. Well, I like to break it down again to the 4 towers. So understanding what do we have in Azure or AWS, and what are those services doing? Are they hosting an app for an internal use or for a customer use? And what are the entry points and how do we secure those? Obviously at the edge, the gateway, right? And then on into all the specific features. And then when looking at customers, then comes the WAN. So you look at like large retailers, banks. It's really just breaking down the scenarios and where the business is trying to go. Are they trying to grow the platform to more mobile edge users? So a lot of use cases are really understanding the business drivers, the landscape, and then all the SaaS applications that make up a huge part of multi-cloud networking that I feel like is not discussed enough. So when approaching customers, it's really breaking it down. How are you going to operate it in Tower 3? And the end state is Tower 4, the complex flows that make it all work. And so customers, it's much easier to have it compartmentalized and then build the bigger picture off that. And that's how I like to approach customers.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like building blocks or Legos that you're assembling.
Yeah, like a modular network, essentially.
Yeah, awesome. Very cool. Okay, maybe I'll swing it over to you, Pranav, in terms of how F5 is approaching this today. Obviously, we're partnered with Kyndryl, and we're able to plug into the architectures that Rob is helping customers and solutioning with. How is F5 plugging into that?
Sure. But before I answer your question, Wu, can I ask Rob a follow-up to his previous thing?
Yeah.
Is this concept of securing networks versus connecting applications, or connecting networks versus connecting applications? How do you place that in your tower, I guess, 3 or 4 or 2? Like, where do you see that? Because
Well,
that'll answer the question you asked.
there are so many things that exist that are hyperscaler specific within AWS or Azure, and knowing that there are API call flows, or really what APIs, it really should be service call flows and securing those through like TLS or OAuth or whatever, and then understanding, okay, what's going to actually go to the WAN needs to come out and then transit it on down. So that's how I generally approach it.
Got it. Yeah, so to answer your question and to follow up with what Rob said, the way F5 distributed cloud is approaching this with secure multi-cloud networking is we're looking at it from sort of three lenses, right? There's the connecting networks between clouds, which is just connecting the layer 3, the actual network, the plumbing. But really, what you're focusing on is the remaining two, is connecting apps and actually securing the apps, knowing the exact call flows, which application is talking to whom. That's where F5 distributed cloud is focused a lot more. So connecting networks is where essentially you connect the entire network together. Any app can talk to any app. But then now suddenly you have sort of a security nightmare because any app can talk to any app, and that's not what you intended. And so therefore the focus really with secure multi-cloud networking is connecting applications. You only connect the application that you want to. That's number one. And then you then add security on top of it, like application firewall, and give discovery of which API is committing whom. Is that something that you hear your customers asking for? Is that a blind spot for them at all? Or?
I would say it's definitely a blind spot. The biggest blind spot I find is customers don't know what's talking to what. I think most of the industry would understand this if they've gotten in a network. And another blind spot in the industry is from the networking perspective is most network engineers and architects, they know how to build networks, but they don't know why they're building the network.
Yeah.
And that is such a huge disconnect. And networking people in general are the most conservative in tech. They've been dragged kicking and screaming into the virtualized world, and now it's networking's turn to be virtualized. And there's a big awareness problem. And for the first time, network engineers are having to build networks that support applications, not for a data center or make sure the Wi-Fi connects and connects to something and wherever. They're having to shift their mind completely to you are making a service connect to a service, an app work for an end user, and it's a total paradigm shift for most networking people.
Yeah, that is what I find a lot as well, right? So the networking teams sometimes you sell to, they say, all right, tell me how you connect the networks. And I'm like, first talk about these services. Which services do you want to connect?
Yeah.
Do you even think of that? And they don't, right? It's the different teams that do. And so that's what the approach has been is the service-aware networking is a service. What service do you want to connect? And only allowing that service to be advertised and connected. And now you have control, sort of following the zero trust principles. You only allow what you want to connect and not the others. And that's really sort of the difference between how F5 secure multi-cloud networking approaches it. Service level security focus versus a network level which is exposing everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. I would actually even relate it back to F5's origins around initially doing network level things, and then eventually it took a number of years to get into security from F5, but we got there because we knew that we were in path. I kind of feel like we just jumped that with distributed cloud. We know right away it's about securing, it's about applications, we have the networking in place. We already did that in our history before and took the time to learn all that stuff, and now we're already there with distributed cloud. Those services are baked in. So very cool. The 4 towers that you talked about, Rob, where can people go or who should they talk to find out more about that?
Reach out to Kyndryl. I do have some blogs and some podcasts, some of which I've done with you guys. I talk about it. I do have some public-facing material that needs to be published about this. I have a big deep dive into it and a course coming out that should be publicly available.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Rob, for joining me today. Thank you very much, Pranav, for joining me as well. And thank you to everyone for watching today. You can find more videos from F5 App World when you follow us on LinkedIn, X, YouTube, and on F5.com. Otherwise, we will see you on the next one.